Hey, Ryan, why don't you pull up Amazon's margins real quick?
Well, yeah, I'd have more of a grin on my face than Stephen Hawking on Epstein's Island.
I'm off as a smug cock when you said that.
Wow, fiscal philosophy, you're not very smart at all. You screw up, cash flow kings. Dissector, you are an idiot.
Hello, everybody. It's Saturday. It's 8 o'clock Eastern, and it's also 420 fiscal. And that means that, especially tonight at Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, it's like an added 100% chance of something bad happening to you if you're not watching the Cash Flow Kings.
You need Cash Flow Kings tonight more than any other night. So,
I'm with you.
Yeah, make sure you're smashing the like button, by the way.
That's true.
Very important.
We already got beater stocks in here. We'll get to that this video because that's a very interesting. Did you see that video?
Yeah. Also, in addition to being 420 and Saturday at 8 p.m., it was also chess day for me. So good day.
That is a good day. All right, welcome in everybody. We have fellow channel Stabulo now. Everybody, go check him out if you haven't already. We did a nice little live last week with him. One of our most vibrant conversations, and I think the fatal four-way with Double D's, Stabulo. I think me and you. That's a potential for some big things in the future.
Legendary.
Double D's in here. Tonight's episode is going to consist of a lot of income, a lot of high yield dividends, a lot of margin calls. The possibilities are going to be endless tonight. To be frank.
Speaking of Frank, is he in the chat?
Frank, unfortunately, it doesn't appear that Frank, Shamir, or John have been in the chat yet. The night is still young, we'll say. So you guys already know what we say here on the channel. If Shamir, Frank, and John are all in the chat at the same time, stuff goes down, no matter if it's not past 8 o'clock or not. But tonight's guest, it's one that we've been looking forward to for a while. This is definitely going to be a vibrant conversation, to say the least, especially with some of the context that's gone on for the last few weeks. Before we get to that, though, make sure to smash the like button. It's probably the number one way to help support us here on the Cash Flow Kings. Unlike some people, we actually don't lie about whether we're monetized or not. We're not. So, one day, and we won't lie about it when we get there. Follow our Twitter at CashflowKingsYT. We post out some pretty interesting things on there. We give people advice on if they're going through hard, difficult times in their life. And we also share which stocks are cigar butts on there. So that's a fun time on there. And our Twitch Cashflow Kings. Yeah, Twitter's an interesting game in its own. No comment here. Bench numbers before we get to our guest.
Yeah, my highest I got to today was just 245, so nothing too impressive to write home about on that one.
Yeah, the cut is hitting me to a point where I don't even want to talk about it. So, ask me in the summer. Yeah, I'll just say that I've barely been lifting at all, and my max is not, maybe one day, but it's not looking good. But for all that, I think we get to our guest fiscal. This week has been very, I don't know how to put it into words. If I could use one word, I would say income. Income is probably the word I would use.
Very income-oriented week, yeah.
Very income-oriented.
There was a lot of income.
There was. But without all that out of the way, I think we get on to our guest. It is none other than Coney 2012, YieldMax, Schiller, or whatever you want to classify yourself. Welcome in Capital Mindset.
Oh, I should have called myself Coney 2012. Hold on. Let me do this correct.
Get him out of here. We have Coney 2012. This is the kind of guy that you want if you're going to be investing in YieldMax funds. We got the shades too. We're all matching. What did we use to buy those shades too? By the way, I wonder what we used to buy those shades.
Cash flow. Cash flow.
I use my high yield income investments, of course.
It's free money, essentially, if you guys didn't know. Welcome in, everybody. All right. So capital, before we get to all the bread and butter, and I'm sure everybody wants to get to that immediately, but we typically like to ask our guests, what kind of, and what's their game about, as we say here on the channel. What does your channel focus on? What's your investing strategy? Obviously, it's income oriented. If not, you wouldn't be here, but yeah.
Exactly. I mean, my channel is definitely focused on maximizing the yield at all times. No, I'll answer the question.
Obviously.
So The channel was actually created by myself and a friend of mine, and the initial goal was actually just kind of a reactionary effort to kind of combat the stuff on YouTube. And I wasn't into YouTube finance, but this friend was, and he had told me some things. And funny enough, he was an earlier viewer of a guy named Financial Education, and yeah. And I was working in finance at the time, and he would tell me some of the things that he heard, and he was studying accounting. But sometimes people who I guess are in the field, that they might fall for things like that too. And so some of the things that he would repeat to me, I was like, whoa, that's kind of garbage. And that was like the beginning of the inkling where we started to see stuff like Tattooed Chef. And I took like a quick peek and I was like, oh, this is garbage. He told me about this other company, Skills. Oh, this is garbage. On and on and on. And we basically, throughout the time that we hung out, we were like, oh, he brought up the idea, why don't we record these conversations and then we put them on YouTube, and then people can watch that instead of Jeremy. And I was like, okay, fine, we'll do it. And then we started doing that, and then one thing led to another, and here we are. And then I started then with the Capital Mindset Club, and then that started kind of going and finding other people who sort of also are really passionate about investing and kind of bouncing ideas off of them. But my investing style, I don't really have a textbook definition to describe it, because I do dabble. It is income. Yes.
Yeah.
We want to make money. But I don't know if there is a particular like set category. It's not a value oriented approach. It's not a growth traditional oriented approach. It's not strictly cigar butt. It's not none of those things. It's pretty much just all of it and everything, as long as I can understand it. So kind of a cop-out answer, but
yeah, I think your channel is interesting in the sense that like it's just a different format, I think. Do you want to kind of go off on like the club thing? Because I'm actually interested about that.
Yeah, so the club at one point was just like a support thing. And then it sort of just transformed into the club, because I started just having weekly conversations, and then they turned into what's called the weekly call. And then the weekly call is now like a staple part of the club, where I basically do like one show once a week. And then I ended up kind of merging with another club that already existed. It's like a whole story. But then there was 2 shows, and I brought on 2 analysts who are also working in their own respective industry. One of them's a CFO. The other one works at well, I don't really divulge those details, but he works in finance. And so they are basically like they help me in a lot of ways, as far as gathering ideas, shuffling them out. And then we have like a separate show where they're together. And then the club has a lot of people from a lot of different backgrounds, mostly within the professional space. And you kind of gauge when you're talking to them that they know their stuff in maybe cybersecurity. So we have cybersecurity guys. We have a lot of programmers, a ton of programmers, actually. We have physicians, pharmacists, etc. So it's diverse in that sense. I don't prey upon the blue collar like certain YouTubers out there might.
We have janitor. We have
Yeah.
toilet cleaner in our server. We have the janitor. We have a kid at Walmart.
We have an SA quant read analyst.
We do. We do have an SA quant read analyst. That's our
yes.
claim to fame here on the Cash Flow Kings. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Is that Dividend Dude?
Yeah, that's Dividend Dude.
Dividend
Read
Dude.
analyst, SA quant analyst.
I've got a tobacco analyst, or at least that's what I call him in my Discord.
Yeah, compounder.
Digital Kunst. We all know him. I think he might be in the chat tonight.
We need to talk about tobacco at some point. We need to have this conversation.
We love tobacco here on the channel.
I'll take out my cigar.
Not using it, but buying the stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It is 420 day too, so I mean it's only fitting. We can appreciate the wife beater, by the way. I think that's a great touch for fiscal. Good appreciation.
Well, I thought like, okay, I got to wear something that's thematic, and then so I had to get the glasses, and then I changed into this. And now here we are.
Yeah, we can have a pose down at the end if people
if enough people hit the like viewers. Button. Yeah, I think if we fiscal, we got to do like the NWO merch, but it's CFK, and we got to make it in tank tops. I think I totally 100%. Buy that. We have to do that.
And we could maybe look into doing sunglasses too, our own brand of sunglasses.
God, I feel like that'd be super expensive though, because I know from creating like custom shirts and stuff, and like I used to run a clothing brand, that stuff's expensive. Like behind the scenes, if you're not like, if we'd have to go really direct though, if we were to actually want to make it profitable, because like custom shirts, dude, the margin, I'd have to sell it for a whole lot. Not fun.
Hey, if
Worth the
Ray-Ban and
experience.
Oakley can do it, we can do it.
Yeah, that's true.
This
Yes.
is how it begins. This is how Nike started.
Oh, no. Nike's had a nice little recovery this week. I bought at like 86, 87 when it got down there. Now it's at like 93, 94. I'm happy. A lot of people are shitting on me for buying Nike.
Well, did you see Lulu?
No, what happened to Lulu?
Lulu got crushed. Not this week, but last week it got crushed. And this week seems to recovery is a really strong word. I imagine Nike actually is somewhat recovered.
Yeah, I've had people in the Discord talking about look at Lulu, but it's just clothing brands just generally aren't like my thing.
Yeah, we all say that, and then we look at Abercrombie, and then we're like, we should have done that.
Yeah, well, at least you're not buying Crocs. As the quant analyst comes in and says thoughts on Crocs.
We knew that was coming.
Yeah,
actually, I am. Yeah, Crocs is it's not, well, I don't know the conviction level of Dividend Dude. When I to converse with him, it sounds like that's one of his highest convictions. That's probably middle of the road to the lower tier in terms of allocation size, but it's meaningful, and I do like the story a lot.
And maybe Miller Value Partners has some Crocs, so maybe there's something to it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thesis doesn't need it to happen, but if Hey Dude supply chain corrects in Q4, I'm not would not be surprised if you see all-time highs on Crocs. And now that they've got leverage levels down to the appropriate rate where management guided for, now we're going to start to see the buybacks kick in. And they already started earlier than we anticipated, so that was another good thing. But yeah, the Hey Dude acquisition, no one can convince me that wasn't a blunder.
I'm not praying on the Crocs downfall whatsoever, but I'm on the line of not praying for it, but also kind of am.
I mean, and that's one thing when Double D's was buying it when it was like 84 or whatever. I was definitely telling him I thought that was probably a good move. It just wasn't. It's just not something that I had other things I wanted more at the time. That's the only reason I didn't.
I just don't see a lot of there's not a lot of proven track record of how they'll stay like fashion trend wise. Which is probably why they're trading at such a low valuation relatively. Where I think with Nike, they've like proven they can stay through different eras of fashion and adapt. That's just my thing. I think they're doing really good right now, Crocs, but there's just not a lot of history with it.
No. Well, my small pushback there is actually the valuation is trading at where it's at because of the Hey Dude blunder. If you look before Hey Dude, they traded at a valuation close to 20.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Double D's, come on, dude.
The Hey Dude acquisition, which was horrible, kind of threw in a wrench in terms of what analysts could estimate, because now you have a different shoe with different unit economics, and the margins on Crocs are incredible, especially the gibbets. And now you're getting into like a regular shoe, right? Hey Dude, so where you had a unique product that you were making great margins on, and then you could upsell these other little components that for the consumer is like $5, but for you the cost to produce is so little, and so your margins are insane. We're talking like beyond tech level margins or equivalent to tech level margins. And then of course the market's ascribing a pretty strong multiple to that. It's not like a regular shoe company at that point, but then management goes and says, let's buy a regular shoe company, and the market's like, and the amount that they paid for it. They had a beautiful balance sheet before, and then suddenly now you have something that doesn't look too hot. Now they've paid it down, but their balance sheet used to be immaculate.
Yeah, I don't see all the history there when it comes to like staying power. I think if there was staying power, I'd be a lot more interested, but like qualitatively wise, and I'm sure it's because I'm 18 and I see it every day in school, but everybody wears Nikes. And I know it's a big world out there, but I think that it's been that way for a while, and I think it will continue to be that way.
I mean, everybody was wearing Nikes when I was your age, as much as it makes me sound like an old man to say that.
1970.
Yeah, not quite that far back, but yeah. I mean, Nike has been, Air Jordans were like the big thing when I was a kid, and they're still, Air Jordans is still, I think, one of their best sellers, if I'm not mistaken. So that's in my mind staying power, that 30-year staying power for like a single line of shoe. That's pretty impressive. But I'm just not. I don't even think I'm all that interested in just buying shoe companies to begin with. I don't know.
I could see that. I mean, I think if Nike were to get back to a solid price, I'd definitely look to consider selling. But I think right now, like historically looking wise, it makes sense. And I think if they ramp up buybacks right now, I'd be happy. And real quickly,
the MPW cult anyway.
Oh, yeah. Real quickly, we're gonna do an early little segment today, the Know Your Role and Shut Your Mouth segment.
Shut up, bitch!
All right, this is not a dividend dude, but the term quality compounders and compounder stocks. That might piss me off more than anything. I think it pisses me off more than Khmer. Hearing people refer to stocks as compounders, it's getting a little old. Like me and Dissector, we're hopping on the trend. I think one thing that I'd happy to have go in 2024 is the term compounders. I'm blaming Joseph Carlson for part of it, but I think another part of the whole compound investing thing, they sell them too early. You buy these compounding stocks, and this is a bit of a call out to Joseph Carlson, but also not. I love you, Joseph. I'm sorry. Don't comment on our video. But you buy these companies, you say they're compounders, you go over them, and it's not that far, it's not that long into the future that you just sell them out of nowhere for like a 5-10% gain. You keep calling them compounders, but you sell them before you get a compound. So that's my beef with the compound investors.
Is there a particular? You sound like you got hurt by this person. Is there someone?
Union Pacific. Union Pacific.
Who did it? Who did it?
Joseph Carlson, Union Pacific. That's all I'm saying.
I have my own beef with. Well, no. It's not beef.
We'll get into it. Get into it. Give me the Joseph Carlson.
No, it's not really beef. It's just that I made a video calling him out a little bit for it, but with Netflix, that he made like a bragging video about it, and I was like, in my video, that was like a bull video on Netflix. I went out of my way to create a compilation of Joseph Carlson going from bull to like worried as the stock price went down to kind of just basically not excited for the stock, literally close to the bottom. He did that twice for me that year. I love him. I actually, if you're listening, Joe, well, I shouldn't say anything because then that's still going to maybe influence you and changing. So I shouldn't say anything at all.
Yeah.
But whatever. He helped me a lot that year, and he was the contraindicator multiple times. He's been the contraindicator for me at least multiple times.
So gets all the views. What can you say?
Yeah, no. And so like, I don't actually want to make videos on him kind of interacting with his theology of investing. I like to him to just be him. Just keep doing your thing. And then I'll watch some of your contents on occasion. My subscribers will watch, and then they'll send me when he's feeling a certain way about a certain thing. And then that will help me kind of feel the waters for what the sentiment's like on that stock. But Netflix, it's not like beef. Let me be clear, but
yeah,
he should not brag about Netflix.
Dividends getting ready right now to come after you. Be ready. Like I'd get up on a hill.
I'll be honest. If MPW works out the way the people that are into it think that it will, I will absolutely be bragging.
Oh no! This is where Dividend is getting the trimming apple from. This is where he's getting it from. I was wondering. No, you can't justify that.
Trimmed apple, huh?
So the thing with Joseph Carlson on this channel, so like we used to, God, what was it? What did we even get in a beef over? But he muted my tweet on Target stock when Target went up like 10 or 20% a day in like November or whatever.
Mm.
He was basically like referring it to Costco, and then
so he sold it but he sold it before it went down and then bragged about it, and then it went back up, and you're like, see, like you kind of, there was no reason to sell it. It was fine. And he's like, it would have been one of my worst performing stocks this year.
Yeah, but no, he was very negative about it. Like looking at like the stock went up 20% one day and he was still like comparing it to Costco or whatever. And it's like, all right, I've had enough. So I went on his Twitter and I got into a little debate with him, and it essentially ended up with him like hiding one of my tweets and basically censoring me. But now we're fine. Like he apologized. He like reached out to me like 3 or 4 months later. So we're fine now.
By the way,
the Joseph Carlson saga's over.
The intro, the smug cock thing, that's where that came from.
Yeah, that was our funniest episode, I think. that was an entertaining episode. Yeah, so I mean, I think my thing with Joseph, like, if you compare him to like the Khmers and the Jeremys, he's really not bad at all.
No, he's not. I said this. I would prefer a world where he is the #1 finance YouTuber than where we are now, where who is currently #1 finance YouTuber.
Who do you think is #1 right now
in subscribers or viewership? Because
just I would say viewership at the moment, because like there's a lot of deceptive sub counts out there right now.
I wouldn't count Graham Stephan because he's like so generalistic that I don't almost count him. I'm focusing on the stock finance YouTubers. Me, Kevin.
Yeah.
Fiscally, you look shocked.
Is there one that's bigger that I don't know about? Maybe there's one I don't know.
Well, Dividend Dude has been doing pretty well with the 3 stocks to buy videos recently. I'm just saying.
As long as it's not dividend talks, I guess I don't care.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I'm saying like who's like the top dog and getting all the views? Me, Kevin, right?
Dividendology's been on a little ramp. He's at like 120. He's 120, 130. Good for him. PPC Ian, but he's like half out of it now. He's living off his Starbucks divvies, Frank. I could respect that, man. We'll have him on sometime.
He makes good money at his whatever. I don't know if it's a job or his business, but I think he's a real estate developer. But I don't know if he works for a real estate developer or he is the real estate developer.
Yeah, but I gotta work on my PPC Ian impression. Hello, fellow dividend investors. I just use my Starbucks. Yeah, I know. Like he's really wholesome. He's wholesome. Yeah. I like Joseph's philosophy on investing. He is obviously not perfect. However, I wouldn't blindly follow him. Unfortunately, a lot of other people have not realized that. Dividend Dude, I'm just saying the Salesforce buy for you has come very soon after he did. I'm just saying.
It's an interesting coincidence.
Putting it up in the air. I'm joking. No.
Did he buy Salesforce recently?
Yeah, this week.
I love him. He's pumping my bags. Because he hated it when I was buying it. He made bad videos on it.
Let me guess. You bought it when it was cheap.
Yeah.
Huh.
When it wasn't a compounder.
As Khmer would say, what happened to this concept? Buy low, sell high. How come it's not
that? I'm so happy Strongman's finally.
Oh, all right. We're getting into it. I think we're getting into it. We got to get into it.
Yeah. Because I've been texting Strongman about this guy. And I feel like I can read this out. It was like today, and he said something along the lines of, I had no idea why you were so interested in this guy before, but now I understand. Yeah. He is really fun to listen to. I kept wondering why you all were so obsessed.
What can you say? I sent Strongman. He wanted the video of the disabled guy going on stream, so I sent it to him, and he just responded, really? "Oh my god!" So if that video comes out of that, I think it's over.
There is.
Oh my god.
There's one coming in the future on that. You'll see one.
All right. Oh boy.
Oh man, I
expect credits. Come on.
Oh my gosh.
Credits are come on to the Cash Flow King Strongman.
Yeah, come on, Strongman.
We had Echoes on, and he said you were probably the top finance YouTuber.
Oh, thanks, Echoes.
We were doing a ranking thing, and you were on it somehow.
Yeah, he said that you look the best with your shirt off, Strongman.
It was like very niche. It was like Graham, Stephan, Meet Kevin, and then like it got low. You were on it. I'm like, is that true? But yeah, you were on it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Awesome. So people or whoever made that put me on there. That's good.
It was probably Lincoln. It was probably Lincoln. I could see it being Lincoln.
Yeah, you were S tier. You were one of there were very few that were considered to be S tier.
It was like and Ian.
In fact, I think what Echo said specifically about you is that you have the reputation of being the best investor on all of YouTube.
I did not know that.
I think he said those words. I believe that he said something to that effect. Yeah.
It's because he owns YieldMax. What do you expect?
That's a lot of pressure, then.
So don't disappoint us, okay?
I I like Salesforce now with a dividend buybacks because Joseph Carlson bought it and the stock traded down on a rumor and an acquisition. So I bought it.
And because Joseph Carlson.
Okay. And because Joseph.
What was it? Why didn't you like it a year ago?
Because it was down. It wasn't a compounder with cheese.
He probably wasn't looking at it. And then
it wasn't a double compounder
by somebody he follows, then he was looking at it.
Because wow. I mean, there were. I mean, I don't know if the video is public, so it should be on my YouTube channel where I go over why Salesforce was such a good buy at that point in time, and it was reminiscent of another video I made. There was Amazon and Salesforce that both had pretty much the same thesis, that people forget how capable those businesses were of generating cash flows. And as soon as they wanted to, they could just turn the spigot on. And that's exactly what they did. And the funny part with Salesforce's management, Amazon's didn't say that, but I knew that. Salesforce management told you that that was the case. And you just had to take a leap of faith. First, you could have understood the business and just how profitable SaaS at scale can be. And then second, you could have just believed management that, hey, this year we're going to just turn on that spigot. And I think Joseph Carlson came in and said he patted himself on the back like he predicted it and called it the year of efficiency. I'm like, come on, man. Come on. If you really knew it was going to be the year of efficiency, where was the top allocation to those companies? Why weren't you adding so heavily when they were telling you that that was going to happen? You waited until after.
They were compounding in Texas Roadhouse. What do you expect?
Yeah, but his strategy is, of course, better than Paul Gabriel's. Yeah. Oh, I'm just name dropping. I apologize.
Oh, let's give it up. Keep it up.
But yeah. So his strategy will always be more successful than Paul Gabriel, because Paul Gabriel's strategy is always going to be falling for traps. That he will not invest in anything of quality. At least when you're investing in quality, you're going to, of course, overpay at times. And I'm not saying he's going to outperform. I actually think he'll underperform over a long period of time, but he won't be. I doubt he's going to be negative. Paul, he's got to do a lot of work now to get positive, because we did the estimates on what his losses were, and they go from anywhere from on the low end now towards the end of it, about $8 million to the high end, $40 million. That was based off of his commentary on how much his net worth was, the proportionality to his net worth. And he said something along the lines of, if he had not done that, how much would that money have compounded into getting to $1 billion? And so then we back calculated it, and then we got a low end and a high end calc.
And this counts the NVIDIA short?
This is the NVIDIA short.
Oh boy.
So he lost more money than well, actually, I don't know if on the high end he beats Kevin, because Kevin at one point lost 30 million. Yeah. And that was a whole saga. That was an amazing saga, because he went from 40 million. He had a stock portfolio. He would show 40 million in 2021. And then by 2022, it had fallen to 20 million. And then he sold out everything. He said, I'm not leaving. And he comes back. He goes all in Tesla with the 20 million. And then Tesla proceeds to fall more in 2022 towards the end. He sells it all again, but this time it's to start his ETF. So he had to recognize the loss. So then that's a $30 million recognized loss. And then that remaining $10 or $11 million, he uses those proceeds to start his ETF along with whatever money he raised. But he had lost $30 million. So
that brings me joy.
Yeah.
Brings me great joy.
And then Jeremy, unknown.
Buy a lot of alcohol with $30 million.
Yeah.
Just saying. Ian Fiscal, listen to management to tell us now we're trapped. Our slave in the chat, our slave editor is here. Good to see you. Beater had a week. I guess we'll play the clip. I promised him we'll play it because he put in a lot of dedication. I was on my way to a wake yesterday, and I was just reading in the car what Beater was saying, and I'm getting messages from everybody to check up on this guy because about to assassinate Kamara or something. That was a bit of an added stress to me.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, though, why does Joseph Carlson underperform long term? I'll answer this quickly, and then I'm sure you two will. I think he sells too quick. Can't let compounders compound.
I think he's only interested in stocks that have recently performed well for the most part. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
That's fair.
Yeah, no. Within his wheelhouse, there'll only be companies that have performed well. First and foremost, and second, he doesn't really actually understand most of the businesses he invests in. So he actually has no idea when it's a good time to enter or exit. This is evident by all of the entries and exits of all his stocks. It's no more obvious than just looking at the rationality, what he states when he's exiting a stock or even entering a stock. He usually just looks at he points to and alludes to his Qualtrim software, which is only looking at past data and doesn't truly understand what's going to happen forward looking. So if you want specific examples that are just microcosms of his investing philosophy, I can point to, again, what we saw with Netflix and how he progressed through that, Salesforce, how he progressed through that, Amazon, how he progressed through that, Meta. Do I need to remind Meta what happened there? Because the financial data was out there. That one was the most shocking one for me in 2022, because we were all reading the same data, but I don't know how individuals like him, because his video actually came out on the bottom. So his negative Meta video was the exact bottom of Meta. If you had bought it when he came out with that video, you would have gotten the best cost basis ever. There would have been not possible to get a better cost basis than buying when he got negative. So just kind of following up on each time that I've seen him exit or enter a stock or rationalize an entry, it doesn't actually come from any true understanding of the business. It is more than Paul, but that is such a low bar. I think actually I tested this out. Most of the LLMs do a much better job at summarizing a business than any of Everything Money's videos. So like you'll actually ask it, for example, when they did 3M, Paul didn't know that there was a lawsuit going on with 3M. But in all the LLMs, I tested them, they all pulled it up right there for you. That one of the risks, if you ask like what are the risks with, or not what are the risks, what's the thesis for 3M stock? And I asked the Meta one recently, and it came up with there's a lawsuit going on, blah, 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 blah. And so at the very least, you got the framework for what could go right, but also what could go wrong. Something that 3M video just doesn't give you. So it's 3M video, EM video. He is better than them, but that's a really low bar. And so outperforming over the long term, I think is not really in his cards. I don't think he's going to be negative, but I don't think he's going to outperform.
Yeah. There we go. Welcome in SoFi Boy Major Speed, our favorite SoFi boy on the channel. All right, we'll get to this because I promised Peter would play it. But essentially, we have a little spy, and he doesn't like Khmer guys, believe it or not. He doesn't like them. So yesterday, this was from his stream. I'll let you guys, do the reaction.
All of us, if we pool our money, we get enough money. We'll make enough money. Enough.
We can put somebody on one. Yeah,
maybe we should ask Jinder. Somebody. Hey, Jinder, go buy us a little seat at the market maker. What is it?
Yeah, that's not going to happen, bro. You're a fucking fraud moron, Comer. You're down 50K in your portfolio. High dividends don't work, bro. You're not going to keep these dividends forever.
What the heck?
That was only 8 seconds, guys. Imagine what he could do if he had a few more.
So, and by the way, like for context, I went and like to the timestamp and watched that, and then like I watched for maybe another 5 or 6 minutes. He was shook.
Yeah, I can see it. All right, let's get into the Khmer talk because that's the topic of the video. That's what everybody came here to see. How did you first get exposed to it?
So we found a community that I guess it sort of spreads like this. Our club members, they kind of go out into other communities, right? Sometimes, and then sometimes they'll find something that's interesting, sort of like finance cringe, kind of like looking for Wall Street bets, the next Wall Street bets. We found one, and then they kind of brought it into the community, and we have like a memes channel where we kind of post about it and have fun. And then some of the members went into that community, and then from that community that we were making fun of, and having a blast doing so, we found out that they make fun of another community, which is probably also the case with our community. There's probably a community out there that just like memes us. And then we found out they meme another community, and that community was Khmer's. And then we're like, wait, these guys are boring now. Let's leave this. Let's go here. And the rabbit hole began. And because in our downtime of investing, when we're not just constantly looking for the next opportunity, this is kind of like it's become sort of like The Office. watching The Office of Wall Street.
Yeah.
And you have Michael Scott with Dwight Schrute, which we call Matt. Matt is Dwight. He's so good. He's amazing. And then we have like names for the characters. For the most part, we have like assigned them. But basically, when we found this new group, the Kemmers, they just took the cake. Like I even say like there's no one better than that. That's the best. That's peak. And of course, I wanted to give it a fair shot before we kind of, and that's where we maintain ourselves in each of these cases. With every community that we find that's really degenerate, we don't just, haha, you're gonna fail and stuff like that. We try to actually help first, and then if they do what they do, which is typically close up into a shell and then say you're wrong, blah blah, then okay, at that point, all right, you're popcorn. That's all. So Kemmer did that. I gave my fair shot as Coney 2012. I went on one of his live streams. I discussed with him, and I couldn't get through to him no matter what. But I realized that he is dumb and malicious, a little bit of both, I think.
Yeah.
Because he's a liar. He definitely is a liar. He lies a lot for no reason. He has it. From when I spoke with the people in our community that are former military service members, that stolen valor doesn't only come from people who say they were in the military. It's also military service members who say they did things they never did.
So like exaggerators.
Exaggerators, exactly. And he does plenty of that. The other day, he said he worked in clandestine operations, if you can even believe that. And then, so that's why Strongman, I don't focus on content on Kemmer. I think that Strongman is best positioned to do that because he's still a serving member, a reservist right now, but a serving member, and he is an officer. And so he is really well equipped to really attack that, because for some reason, a lot of people, when you critique Kemmer, that's the shield that they use, is that, oh, you shouldn't disrespect a service member regardless of anything. So
shoe shiner.
Say that to Strongman, who's an officer.
Yeah.
That argument doesn't fly there.
Jeffrey Dahmer served.
Yeah.
That's that.
Hey.
Yeah. And I just, they hit me with that once, like, and I'm like, well, what bearing does his service have to do on whether he's right or not about YieldMax? It doesn't, like, it's a non sequitur, but like they get so defensive, it's like you're not going to get through at that point anyway. So go strong, man.
Oh yeah, no, and he's so easy to just dismantle, because this is a man that has done the impossible. During a bull market, he has a negative return. So you're really bad, like really, really bad. And it's not in the sense that he's just like, he's not shorting. That's the key. He went long. All right. Because you tell me, you shorted in a bull market and you lost money, you underperformed, you had a negative year. Okay, I can see that. But going long in a bull market, you made a big mistake. And then so to him to come out and say that there's nothing wrong with what he's done is frankly insane. And by the way, that guy that went into your server the other day, did you know that he posted a video today? Because the birdies, they just send me the content, man.
Oh, which one?
The slug guy.
Was it Raul?
No, Raul's insane. Raul,
oh my
is
God,
going after
he commented on one of our videos today, Fiscal.
Or are we talking about the tactical
stock scalper?
Yeah,
so
tactical shoe shiner.
Yes, that man actually did a video today and had the gall to pretend that the very things that he argued against are now his ideas in the first place, talking about how you can't expect these things to do well, price appreciation wise. And he did say, this is how I know that he still doesn't actually understand. So he repeated a lot of the arguments that were levied against him, but he still actually doesn't understand it, because this is always evident when someone tries to explain something, they miss very big details, but to them, they're small details. Where he, for one, the first point, stated that there are some of these funds that actually outperformed the underlying and did not provide a single bit of proof. While that's a small detail of not providing which example he's talking about, it is doesn't really add to his point. And then furthermore, he didn't really get into the other component, which is the net component, including taxation. But point is, he made a video that was very strange for someone of his kind to make that video, because It's basically warning against the risks of YieldMax. And it's funny because he simultaneously says, you know, you have to be careful if this is not for you. But then at the same time, one of his advice is if you invest in this, you have to ignore all the people that will say this is not for you. Because, you know, you can't be wrong investing in this. It's your journey.
That shoe shiner logic. Yeah, the shoe shiner kind of came after us.
With enough belief in these funds, you'll be able to retire.
That's true. Yeah, the shoe shiner has a rough 49 on him. We didn't know that he was
49. Oh, yeah, he's 49 years old. That is unconscionable to me.
I think
he does not look 49.
Yeah.
No.
I hope I do not look like that when I'm 49 years old.
That's what I said. I'm 36 right now, and I said literally like 13 years from now, like save that picture of him today, and like let's do a side by side. And if I look that bad, just, you know, put me out of my misery, take me out behind the bar, and I'm done.
Yeah,
he's gonna leave this planet early. Like, oh my gosh, he's aging very quickly.
49 going on 90.
Yeah, there's a video, I don't know if you've seen it, but Dissector keeps posting, and it's him, like, he must have been live on one of like his other channels or whatever, because I think he runs like a fast food channel where he serves hamburgers for a job, and he was at like a Little League complex, and he's got like this fat guy behind him. It's like it's literally like an office thing, and he's like, you know what? We had some trolls. We had some trolls on my YouTube channel. It was a bunch of 18-year-olds. They were telling people how to invest their money. You believe that? And then like nobody gives a fuck. They're just like,
he's like, by the way, I have an investing YouTube channel, and like the other fast food workers are like, that's nice, I guess. I'm really uncomfortable being on your camera right now, bro.
Yeah, tactical shoe shiner's interesting. Raul, dude, that guy's off one. He was commenting stuff on it. He's got to be off meds, dude. Because he was
comment.
He was talking on the Rod server about like, my fucking son died. He was like going off on it, and then he started going off on me. It's like, dude, there you go. It's one full circle there. Yeah,
Raul, that guy. I mean, I feel bad for him in the sense that he also is. I think he's more of a victim than Kemmer is.
Oh yeah,
of that. Because the guy is not, he's got something.
Yeah.
He definitely has something.
He was grazed by a bullet.
You think, wait, actually?
I bet he was. He looks like
I bet he was. I was like, oh, if he was, then no.
No, I think we were thinking more like some kind of disordered thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When I had a conversation with him in the server back when I was Coney 2012, I told him, like, you know, I had upset him, and I said, oh, you know, because I started to understand just via text. I didn't even have to hear him talk. Just via text, I was like, oh, this person is someone, you know, I'm causing them undue distress. Like it's not talking to like I'm having a conversation with you and we can have a disagreement about something. I'm not causing you undue stress, like where you have something and you know what I mean? So then I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Ignore me. I'm silly. Go back to watching your TV. Because he's like, oh, you're disturbing me watching my TV, blah, blah, blah. So I realized quickly that, you know, he's, you know, I just don't talk to Raul. Don't talk to Raul. Don't talk about Raul. Because I think, you know.
Ryan, look out. You might have a mentally ill stalker.
Yeah, I'm looking out the window right now. I don't want. Have you heard of the Boogeyman yet? Have you ever heard of the Boogeyman?
Yeah.
Okay, that guy threatened to kill me. Fun fact.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. Fiscal hasn't got the threat yet, but I have.
Well, I mean, look at me. They're gonna threaten this guy. Come on. They don't want a piece of this.
He's in my state too, so I'm more at risk.
Him saying that to you, not surprising.
Yeah, because that tactical shoe shiner made a video on me, and he just because he came after me. What a time! What a time to be alive. Mindset. Do you think Khmer believes that Matt is a millionaire?
Okay, so Matt is really funny case because wow, he's pathetic because he lies for internet clout to the 11th degree, And that's the only thing he has to gain from this, right? Which makes it worse, that he lies for internet clout. So he is someone who basically says that he has about $100 million in net worth. I'm not going to dox the guy,
Nine
but
figures before the decimals. Thank you very much.
Some people who are not too happy with Kemmer were investigating him, and then his crew, and some of the things that they found don't add up to the claims outlined by this individual, Matt. One being, the cars he claims to have. Found out
my daughter's car.
Well, it's the daughter's boyfriend's car that the boyfriend bought.
Yeah.
So Matt didn't buy it. And he says he drives like an M3, drives a Tesla Model S, and he had like another car on the way. And then another time that he was asked by another member, he said a different list of cars, or a slight difference in variation, because he is lying, so he's getting caught in the lie. And then his home doesn't add up to being of the value anywhere near of someone of $100 million net worth. Even saying like, I just live in a middle class home, it's not really adding up in that sense. And then going into then kind of switching up the story again and saying, oh, no. I just don't live the life that, I live really well below my means. I'm very modest. And it's like, okay, but there's a difference between, someone with $100 million saying, oh, I drive a beater car, like saying I drive a beater car. But then that's not what you said. You said you have $100 million and you have these cars, but then come to find you don't have these cars. So you're not the same. And then obviously the fake portfolio posts that people have calculated, and it does not add up when he changes it, because he doesn't know how to do simple math. He actually
7 figs with the decimal. Famous quotes of Matt.
Yeah. Yep. So he makes the claim. So does he believe it? I actually do think he is. I think Kemmer's actually dumb enough to believe it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Kemmer is the only person I know that he's so stupid he makes it entertaining. I don't know if he knows I actually have proof that he doesn't know what's coming out of his mouth, because he was talking about me one time. He's like, copyright infringement. What? I don't know why I got to report him for copyright. It's like, oh, and he's the one that made a reaction video to mine. It's like, oh god.
Yeah.
Ryan Dingling is the kid who was the 18-year-old boy who say that YieldMax not a good long-term investment.
If it's such a great long-term investment, why does Charlie Schwab keep calling him to deposit money so they don't have to sell him, liquidate him forcibly?
Yeah, do we have any evidence if he's been margin called or not, or what? When did he's coming?
I was told on one of the more recent lives that he mentioned that he gets notified to add money to the account to avoid forcible liquidation, because if you look at like the total account value and the margin balance, they're both down, but like it doesn't look like he sold anything, so he had to have deposited money to bring down the margin balance, I imagine.
Oh yeah, this is
because his margin balance had exceeded his collateral, and so he had to do something, I imagine. But I guess the income isn't making it happen like he thought it would. I don't know.
Yeah. Apparently, I was called racist too. That's what I was told.
Because if you're white and you call somebody that's not white wrong, it's clearly racially motivated. Yes.
No, it's because I did his accent. You're not very smart at all, dissector. I don't care.
They're a funny group of people, because when I was debating Kemmer, they call me just by, I don't know, what I said, a liberal.
Oh yeah, Raul called me that too. Raul called me that.
Well, speaking of then like pulling out the racist thing, Raul, now that I think of it, called me I quote fag boy on Twitter. So like it's okay, it's like they're gonna call you a racist, but then pull out the homophobia for me. I don't get it.
Fiscal, there's nothing wrong, or
I mean, I don't have any problem with homosexuals. I just like women. Quote of the year.
Yeah, the Kemmer situation, that's entertainment. I haven't been paying too much attention to it recently, but it seems like it's gotten worse for him.
Yeah, I just catch up by when I'm working, I'll pull them up on the side, literally like as I would maybe on the TV, The Office. because I'm not joking by that. To me, all he is Michael Scott. Put a camera in front of him and tell him to invest. And then you have Dwight Schrute, which is Matt, always just kissing his ass. And I kind of have to try to figure out who the other characters are. I don't know who Pamela is, but I have a suspicion I know who might be a good one.
I think I know what you mean. I know exactly who you mean. So, is it true that his wife's a sugar mama? That's what I heard.
Based off of what we heard, it's probably the case because he will somewhat simultaneously. Well, he lies all the time. Says that his wife is really rich already, and that she looked at his portfolio and said, "Oh, that's nothing." And then simultaneously, the next week, forgets that he says that and said that he was going to give his wife money to go buy a bag. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, man, you have no money. Like, this is all going to be gone. We all made bets on when he's gonna be like wiped out, and I think I'm gonna lose the bet within the club because my bet, I was conservative. I was too conservative. I said end of Q3.
Oh, I said January 2025.
Yeah, we have January
even more conservative. No,
we have over under for that on ours.
Yeah, it was an over under where that was like it would either be before that or was it before that or after that?
Yeah, it was rather
or it would happen or not by 2025, wasn't it? Yeah, something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, we had...
but I'm like very confident that by January 2025 he'll be.
Yeah, and he only just started too, which is the funniest thing.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's very impressive. Like it's a skill. It's a skill that's not useful, but it's a skill.
Oh yeah.
Watching wealth be destroyed in that way, but be so arrogant, because at least the Wall Street best people will say like, yeah, this is like really risky. I understand. I am degenerately gambling. Maybe they don't quite comprehend the consequence, but they more or less know that what they're doing is degenerate gambling. He thinks that it's a surefire way, which is hilarious. And so do a lot of his subs.
This is literally in spite of like the actual reality in front of him, proving him otherwise on a daily basis.
Yeah. Frankly, the problem that I see, like why I'm all for it and why Strongman's going to go after them, is basically because the Matt in particular are the ones who are the spreadsheet warriors with like millions upon millions of dollars in income. What they're doing that's so harmful is that they're lying about something that works. And so all the poor people are getting into it and they're putting all of their money into it. And then there's that one guy who I had a conversation with very early on when I was in there. And he told me his story that he's disabled. He doesn't work. His wife's the only one who works, and his wife doesn't make much income, and he is literally relying on the dividends of his portfolio to pay his bills. And it's a $38,000 portfolio at the time I spoke to him. Right now, it's probably lower.
He's probably wiped out by now. Depending,
you're gonna be rich. You're gonna be very rich.
And
a lot of money. It's gonna keep reinvesting. The snowball gonna go up.
Because sometimes I'll catch up on like the memes where people take screenshots from his server because of the shit that's said there. It's so stupid that it's hilarious. Like it's like watching it's like memes. Just that is the joke itself. Just posting what they say is the joke. No explanation needed. And that guy said that he had taken out a personal loan to do this. And then someone was asking him, what is his opinion? Kemmer came in and chimed in. It's like, oh, I mean, I see that it's good if you understand real estate. You know, it's good. I don't see anything wrong with it. But the other guy was recommending to the other guy that he should also take out a personal loan and invest in YieldMax funds, and then because you'll generate a spread. And then eventually, they keep saying this. And oh, sorry, I blanked on this because the stock scalper guy, the bigger detail of why he doesn't understand the concept and how you can tell was his explanation of the payback period. So they all say this, where you invest in it and then you get the dividends and then eventually you're netted out because you've received all the money back from what you put in. And now the rest of it, they call it free money.
So are they talking about basically like after it stops being return of capital?
No, they don't go that deep. No, that's why you're thinking too hard, Fiscal.
Sorry.
Drink
I'll
7 shots of whiskey real quick.
I'll go smash my skull in with a hammer and then come back.
Then come back, and then it'll make sense. No, what they're saying is, you throw $10,000 in to a stock, and it pays dividends, and the dividends equal eventually $10,000. That's like their golden period. Once they pass that, then they think it's just free money, and they want to then they'll hold that forever. And then whatever money that they get is money, and that's what they call their like payback period.
It's about the
how quickly do they get paid back all that money?
Oh.
Yes, they don't understand. Well, for example, also the broader concept of opportunity cost, and they genuinely do not understand why that's a bad thing or why that doesn't make any sense. But
wow, do you believe that Camaro will stop posting portfolio updates?
Eventually, yes, eventually, because recently he started cracking. How do I know this? There was a live stream he did, and you guys, maybe I should say it. Kemmer, if he's listening to this, he's going to start getting really paranoid. Half the people in his live chats, half of them, they're not actual fans.
Oh yeah,
they're like in the Discord.
I realized
they're not actual fans.
The one where he says I'm not very smart at all. I realized like after a few minutes chatting in there, I feel like these people are just trolling. And
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's really fun. So he thinks that he has a lot of fans. He has, I would argue, in the voice chats, half of the people are legitimate and the other half are non-legitimate.
Yeah.
And it's banning them's useless because they have more dedication than I ever would. They will create new accounts, they'll go back in because you are like raw sugar to the bees. That's how entertaining you are. And you can't really tell immediately because they are really good at mimicking your actual followers. I'm saying you as if he's listening, but your actual followers are really good at mimicking your ideology. And so you actually can't tell if they're trolling you because they're really good at pretending to think like you. It's wild. But I imagine they dogpiled on you. When you come on to an idiot, they're like, yeah, he's an idiot.
Yeah. Basically, it's just I don't understand income, and it's passive, and
that's the stuff.
You're not very smart at all. Do you believe that he knows that he's losing money? I don't think he does.
No, he has no idea. Oh, but the thing he cracked on. So he started asking. He's like, I want to have an intellectual debate with people to understand why Tesla and Tesla are going down. I don't understand why it's going down. It's a good company. He said that this week in a live stream this week, and that's how we know that's one of
I know. I immediately
call him out. No, because he still has good work to do.
I think we need to have like 5 or 6 of those people at the same time just start shitting on him. He'll just be overwhelmed. Like some like specific date somebody has to pick and just get like 5 or 6 different alt accounts and just
a raid
go on it. Oh my lord.
No.
Or if somebody somehow like got a mod undercover. Oh my god. Oh. Okay. I think I knew that. Okay. It's entertaining times, everybody. This is what the people come to see here on the Cash Flow Kings.
Yeah. He's just, I think stuff like that is really healthy for an investor because it's like a way to sort of just cool down and take your mind off things, because not every day you should be worrying about the markets, etc. Kemmer does sort of provide, again, that I know it might sound mean, but like everyone who's listening, do not feel bad for this individual. Like genuinely do not feel bad for him. It's I'm saying this also as a person who tried to help him first.
We all did.
Yeah. Everyone here on this panel tried to help him first. And now that story is behind us, it's just all about, okay, well, we'll just watch. And all that he fulfills, which is a good need, is sort of like as if there was a sitcom on TV about the stock market.
Yeah.
And that's it. We're all passionate investors. And of course, I mean, hey, actual professional media program, Netflix, there probably will be demand. Just create The Office, but like Wall Street. I think people would watch it. But for now, Kemmer fills that fills that itch.
Well,
So.
Fiscal's gonna get a documentary on MPW soon, so hopefully we can put in a good word with the put a good word with the producers.
Be the next Keith Gill over here.
Yeah.
I know about your MPW beef. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk about MPW before we hop off.
For the algorithm, at least, right?
Yeah. 15 new people in the chat. Do you like MPW?
I'm watching with great interest. I'm watching your careers with great interest.
Fantastic. Because you're in my Discord, so you see the back and forth and stuff. The hundreds of messages a day.
Yeah, all MPW.
I mean, it's not all MPW, but yeah, like if we get on a roll talking about it, we will go on and on.
Enough's enough at some point.
Have you heard of all right, so are you familiar with Viceroy research and Fraser pairing?
Oh, boy.
What do you think of Fraser pairing?
So, well, I looked at both their backgrounds and I found their backgrounds questionable. I found that Viceroy has been involved in 2 lawsuits now that I'm aware of. One of them MPW, the other one was a mortgage REIT, forget their name, but it seems like he does target REITs. He might target other things, but there is like a commonality. And the reason why I think he targets REITs, if I'm going to assume for a moment, let's use my imagination, that it is malicious. By targeting REITs that are going through a vulnerable period of time, you do actually inflict serious damage to their business model, because REITs, they generate a spread between the cost of capital that is generated via debts or stock. And it's a virtuous cycle. If the REIT is trading at an expensive valuation, they can easier generate that spread. But when they're trading at a very low valuation, now you're constrict their options into just utilizing debt, which can be problematic. So
especially when rates are higher.
Yeah, and using that point of imagination right there, I can kind of see why a malicious firm would do, and like, because short attacks, I know that we hear, the GameStop people, short attacks, blah, blah, and it gets at bad content, but those do actually exist. And it appears as though Viceroy might, be careful with my words, obviously, might be in that realm where a reasonable person might think that is what they did. And that is what they're doing. And so following on that legacy, I don't really ascribe a lot of value to Viceroy's short report on any of their short reports, because I also looked at the mortgage REIT short report. It escapes me which one it was.
Is it ABR? That's the one they're on right now.
I think it's ABR.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So their short reports might become true only because they put a short report out and put pressure on the co. Now, I saw their counter arguments in the lawsuit, which was that the stock was already trending down, which I don't really see that as it's too strong of an argument, because as we all know, if you attack the REIT when their stock price is already down and then further attack with accusations of fraud, well, I mean, that's like putting pressure, not pressure, but putting your finger in a bullet wound. Right. Making it sting a lot more. So I don't see that as a good defense, but I'm not the judge.
Interesting.
What does Strongman have in mind for the Khmer video coming soon? Give us some spoilers.
No, the one that he's going to be talking about soon is the one of the guy who gurgles. I shouldn't say that. That's mean, but I'm trying to describe it.
Is it the clip that we showed in the one where he comes in and has like some kind of a speech issue and says he's disabled? And
yes, that one. So the topic will be
that's the one that got us all fired up and angry about the whole thing. Yeah.
Yes. And that the topic of that video is going to center around why Khmer is actually dangerous. That's the point of that video. It's going to make that point known. Why is he dangerous? Why is he bad for YouTube? And it's going to be using that as evidence to show that, well, Khmer is in his ignorance. You can assign malicious intent, ignorance. I think it's a bit of both, because I think that in his mind, I've caught him in so many lies, or so many lies of his have been presented to me. For example, the monetization lie. For the longest time, he was saying he wasn't monetized. And then there was someone that continues to this day, because when you are like that, by the way, you create enemies.
Yeah.
And some of these enemies become very dedicated enemies. And these enemies might record every single voice chat at all times and find things. And one of the things they found, where he wasn't recording it obviously for his live stream, but this, the whole thing's being recorded anyways. They found where he showed his YouTube, and it showed that there were no restrictions, that all of them were monetized. And he had said that, hey, that wasn't true, or not that wasn't true, but that he wasn't doing that. Then suddenly he changed the language, but he said he was restricted from copyright. That's definitely not true. None of them are. And the military service members stated something that's very interesting, because I'm not one, but that you get a card, an identification card. I forget the name for it, but you can hide the personal information that you don't want known, but it can show at least like your photo, your face, and show that you're a current active serving member. Yeah. And he will not show that, which leads a lot of these men and women to believe that he is not being upfront about his current profession, and that he is not currently serving in the capacity that he says he's serving. And that's excluding the claims that he's made for certain missions that he's been on, certain things that he's done that sound quite exaggerated. Not my opinion. I'm kind of relaying this opinion, but I will actually be lying if I didn't say, well, I've also been sort of convinced that is a very high likelihood based off of everything that I've seen. Yeah. So
I doubt that. I kind of like, the thing I doubted was like that he reached the rank of major, because like Strongman made this point actually, that major isn't like a super duper senior officer, but it's not like a low ranking officer either. And like all the spelling mistakes and all that stuff. And he's like, oh, I struggle with the English language, and kind of uses that as like his shield or whatever. But like, officers are generally pretty well educated from my understanding, and he doesn't come off as particularly well educated. So like, I'm like, there's some dissonance there in my mind.
We went on a Call of Duty mission. It was like a Call of Duty mission. I think immediately about, Call of Duty, the Russia. It was just like that. It was amazing.
Did he say this?
No, it was I think he'd be the type of person to refer like a Call of Duty mission and say that he actually did it. He was the original version. Do you know about dividend talks?
You guys told me about them.
It's nothing compared to Chimera. It's copyright at this point.
I mean, it's
for.
I mean, yeah.
It doesn't get the views anymore.
It's the lowest common denominator.
Before you hop out of here, what are your thoughts on Starbucks stock?
Starbucks stock, my concern is China.
Yeah, that's everybody's.
Yeah, and there I see like the restaurant business can be very good. There's a recent Peter Lynch interview where he actually, not Peter Lynch, I'm sorry.
Bill Ackman.
Bill Ackman, thank you. Sorry, honest confusion. But no, he's talked about restaurant companies. I don't know if you guys know which one I'm referring to, but he said that after you kind of have a proven concept, you're able to expand more and more and more past that after a certain point. And so restaurant business can be very good. I think Starbucks does have a proven concept. I don't really see the unions as like a threat. Like they're going to handle it well, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The only one that I see that could come out of left field is China.
Yeah, it's a lot of growth there.
Other than that, I mean, it's quality business. If China doesn't become a risk and there's nothing wrong with the relations, and even, hey, you get the boost because maybe the technocrats get some power again, and then we get some opening up of China and more friendly relations with the West, that could happen. Yeah. Then there's a huge tailwind there because then I think China is very coffee addicted, and strong potential for Starbucks to make China its largest market.
A lot of untapped potential there too. Yeah. There's like a town of 400,000 people that doesn't have a Starbucks yet there.
So speaking of Starbucks, I was heavily criticized for saying I would buy it at $75 because that is, according to some, impossible to happen. What do you think? Could Starbucks fall to $75?
Yes. Oh yeah.
There we go.
I've changed my thoughts on it. I never said it was impossible. It's had a nice little recovery this week. It only went down 1%. We're at $87 now. Big things are happening.
Hey,
no, I've gone more conservative on it. I think it can. I just don't think it'll go to like 50s.
You see what's happening now, right?
What?
With the market. Do you see the rotation that's happening right before our eyes?
Stocks go up, stocks go down.
No, you have Procter and Gamble that reported earnings, terrible earnings in my view, or really lackluster, and didn't do anything. Actually, just went up on that day. Basically, we're seeing a rotation more towards staples, retailers that are defensive stuff. That's what's happening right now. So I don't know if people are talking about it yet on the social media platforms, but I noticed that this week in particular, and there's kind of like this cooling off with the AI theme, but even the companies that are in defensive sector that did, I think, bad earnings, no, their stocks went up. Like, I can't see if anyone in chat or you guys could tell me what is the case for buying Procter and Gamble here.
We're actually Colgate bulls. We submitted a request to the J guy from YieldMax to start a Colgate YieldMax ETF.
Colgate?
We're hoping for it. Yeah, definitely.
Colgate.
We don't know if the volatility will meet the requirements or not because it's been trading at $70 for the last 20 years, but what are you going to do?
Hey, maybe we'll see a bump in tobacco if the defensive.
Oh, yeah, we got to get the tobacco.
Yeah, well, I was like, wait, we can't.
Yeah, I can't leave without tobacco. On 422, I've got to end up with tobacco. We're big Altria bulls here on the channel.
Okay, so you guys are Altria fans. All right, talk to me. Why Altria? What's up with Altria?
I have Altria and BCI, so I got both.
Okay, but why?
I'm strongly considering Imperial Brands because of mainly because of my tobacco analyst. Digital Kunst.
The Imperial Brands argument made a lot of sense. I think we're talking. Yeah. I think it's that guy who was talking to me about it because my data aggregators were giving me wrong information. So I was operating off of incorrect information on Imperial Brands.
Yeah.
And when I saw, so I had dismissed it prior, like no, not interested. But after seeing the correct data for Imperial Brands, particularly the share count reduction and buybacks, it was a share count reduction because my data aggregators were saying that share counts was flat, and so I was like, what's happening? They're buying all the stock back and then they're issuing it as like stock-based compensation or something, or redeeming debt or something along those lines. And as far as my screener went, I didn't look further. But then that individual, I think, is the one that showed me that no, the share count's actually going down. That source they're using, which was Seeking Alpha,
yeah,
we'll dig on Seeking Alpha, was incorrect.
Yeah, and I think the data is weird on Imperial Brands, because like if you look at like stock analysis or something, it doesn't show the U.S. exchange share price. It shows the I think it's on the London Stock Exchange. Yeah. I think it shows that share price, but then like a lot of the other data is in US dollar denomination. So it's like weird how it shows up, like if you try to analyze it or whatever. So you've got to be careful what data source you're using for something that is a foreign company. Like I had somebody run a DCF on Alibaba and come up with $800 because they were using the Chinese currency and the DCF was in US dollars, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, Imperial Brands definitely looked interesting. But Ryan, why don't you start with why you like Altria?
We love Altria here on the channel. Yeah. All right, the cash flow is looking at itself. It's massively undervalued right now. I love that they're buying back shares. I probably wouldn't be as enthusiastic right now, especially at 18 years old, owning the company if they weren't buying back shares. Looking at like earnings reports, dividend payout ratio should remain 80%. I'm pretty sure all the Anheuser-Busch and Bev cash sales going towards buybacks, if I'm correct, Fiscal.
That is what management has indicated their plans for that money are.
Okay.
And you have Anheuser-Busch, which is going nowhere fast, but still trades at like a 20-something PE, going to buyback shares of Altria that are at like a 9 or something PE.
Yeah. I just essentially think that as long as they continue producing the revenue that they're doing right now, eventually will recover to, I think, 50s, 60s.
That's a good use of the capital. And also I do management has guided that vaping via Enjoy will be accretive to free cash flow, I think by 2025.
Yeah.
They said, which that's a positive. The advantage they have in vaping is probably their distribution. I think that Enjoy being the only, as far as I'm aware, the only FDA approved vaping product or platform on the market may be an advantage. I don't know. But yeah, I do think that they're definitely, it seems like they're underpriced compared to the amount of cash flow they produce at the moment.
Yeah, and I think if staple stocks continue to get rewarded, I think Altria will actually be rewarded. Like
I think in
2022 they were
probably
like, during the whole little Russia-Ukraine war, they traded pretty nice compared to the rest of the market. So definitely recovery play. If we get to a good price, I'll probably.
I don't think I'm going to be in it for 40 years though.
We're no tactical stock scalper. Yeah, Altria does not own Zins. Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, no, yeah, I mix up the names of the brands of some of those products, and
they own On.
Yeah. I think I said Zin in a video, and I meant On. So yeah, that one's on me. If you got that from me.
All right. One absolute treat. 1 hour and 22 minutes with Capital Mindset. What an absolute pleasure. All
right. Yeah, I mean, thoughts on Altria?
It's not as cheap as BTI.
Yeah, no, so my thought was I wanted, both the domestic and the international. I thought BTI was the best value in the international, but the Imperial brand stuff maybe has me questioning that a little bit.
Yeah, I like Imperial Brand's capital return policy a lot more. There was a guy on YouTube. He actually posted his letter to the board, which I retweeted. I ended up liking it because I'm bringing attention to his letter. And he actually made it a nice little website. Let me see if I find it very quickly, and you can look through it. But basically, it's the same thing I've been saying as far as the thesis goes for BTI. If the board were to wake up in this instance and simply allocate capital to buybacks instead of the dividend, I would want them to cut the dividend entirely and strictly just do buybacks for the time being. Here, I put it in the private chat if you want to bring it up. The share count reduction that is possible at these levels ends up being roughly, and it makes the assumption that all else being equal, so that the share price somehow doesn't move on it, so it stays flat. That it, you have 2,200 shares down to 788 by 2028, which you tell me. I mean, at that point, that's an 80% reduction in the share count, and you tell me how a stock stays at the same price, all else being considered. Like what multiple do you think BTI would be at?
Yeah, if the cash flow stays the same, I don't think that it'll fall to 2 times free cash flow or anything like that. So
no, and if they do, then keep doing it, and
then put out a 50% dividend. Obviously, then it'll be competing with YieldMax.
Yeah. So if they were to do something like that, which Imperial Brands seems to be more aggressive than BTI, and I commend them for that, because if you believe that they're really cheap right now, that's exactly what they should be doing. There's one problem with British companies is that they have a restriction on the amount of buybacks they can do, and I think after a certain point they have to request permission from the state.
I've heard about the permission thing. Yeah.
That's unfortunate,
but I've also heard that generally speaking, unless there's like a good reason for them to say no, they generally get the permission. Like it's more like of a formality. At least I've heard people say that. So,
So I'm looking at Altria though, but Altria looks cheap too. And I would say, as shareholders, you guys should be wanting them to do the same thing: cut the dividend and buy back shares at current prices.
My instinct is that they won't, even if we want them to. But I know the sale of the Bud stock and using that at least for the buybacks, I think is a prudent move. Like if you look at Bud stock, it's like why on earth would they hold 10%? Because they had 10% roughly of the equity in Bud, and it's like, what is that doing for them? Like, get rid of that garbage that's trading at a much higher multiple and use it to buy back your own super cheap shares. So I think that's a good allocation of capital in any case. So I'm happy they're doing that while their own stock is so cheap, and hopefully we'll benefit from it eventually.
There we go.
It should. I mean, how much in total capital is that? That's 10% of
10% of Bud's market cap is what they had.
Yeah, so 100 billion, so 10 billion.
Yeah, roughly. It's a little less now because I think the first tranche they sold off 20% of their stakes, so like 2 billion they sold off to use for buybacks.
That's gonna run out eventually.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, they were already using some of the excess cash flow that they're not using towards the dividend was also already going towards regular buybacks as well. I think they've been buying back like 2 or 3% a year or something on average the last few years. I'd like to see it be more like 5-6%.
Maybe look at Imperial Brands. They're doing, I think, what, 1.2 billion a year.
Yeah, it's something like that. Imperial Brands is doing the buybacks we wish Altria was doing, basically, and BTR was doing.
Yeah, you should look. Yeah, I'm looking at Imperial. They have the same owner, by the way. The same guy owns a huge portion of I forget his name all the time. The same guy owns a huge portion of BTI. We're talking billions of dollars worth of BTI, and he also owns a good portion of Imperial. And I'm hoping that very influential shareholder goes, hey, board, do the same thing.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, I would be thrilled if BTI ramped up. I mean, it's like, I think I'm at like 2 or 3% or something in BTI, but still, if they did the buybacks, I'd be super, super excited.
Yeah, I tell myself that if they announce the cancellation of the dividend and say we're going to go all towards buybacks, if even the stock fell on that would be my moment. I would actually turn it into probably one of my largest holdings.
Yeah, I would try to like triple, quadruple what I have in it, like throw every possible dime, because it's not going away. And as cheap as it is, and the thing is, I think you even mentioned this, the stock price would probably fall in half or something if they said they were suspending the dividend. Like,
bring it on, please.
Yeah, all the dividend investors would bail immediately.
I would love that, because then their buybacks go even further. Yeah, man, I really would like them to do that. The returns would be pretty incredible. It could be an NVR situation. So I'll dare to say that it could be an NVR situation. Not as like clear cut, because NVR also did grow a good amount, but a lot of that EPS growth from NVR was EPS keyword was from the share buybacks.
There we go. That's inside information, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had 1 hour and 29 minutes now of pure entertainment. Whether we're talking about tobacco stocks on 420 or slow people and YieldMax funds. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you once again to Coney 2012 Capital Mindset. Whatever your little heart wants to call him, thank you for coming on, buddy. We appreciate it. Plug anything you'd like.
No worries. No, nothing to plug.
Watch the Strongman videos then.
Yeah, watch the Strongman videos.
When do you think? Do you know when the next one's going to come out? Because I'm looking forward to this now.
I don't have that information.
Well, okay. Good. Fair enough. All right. Thank you guys all for watching. Make sure to smash the like button if you guys haven't already. We appreciate you all for tuning in. Thank you to Creeth, Fried Muffin. I can't pull up any of your comments, but thank you for commenting. Double D's, Stabulo, our slave editor, Beater Stocks. Thank you all for tuning in, Frank and John. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Smash the like button, subscribe, do dividend stocks, not drugs. And of course, remember, cash flow is king. Oh, yeah.